One thing that bugs me is how similar the iBook G3 Snow and the iBook G4 look to each other. They both look like practically the same computer. So what really makes them different, other than the hardware? Let's take a look. The connections on both machines are in fact the same. They both contain a 56K modem, 100 megabit Ethernet, a FireWire 400 port, 2 USB ports, a mini VGA connector, and your headphone audio out. Though it should be noted that the iBook G3 uses USB 1.1 ports, while the iBook G4 uses USB 2.0 ports. For things such as keyboard and mice, this isn't really a big deal. But for things such as flash storage media, this is a huge deal. On the other side, things don't look too far different, with the exception being the optical drive. On the iBook G3, it's got a CD-ROM drive. The iBook G4, however, has a slot-loading DVD-ROM and CD rewritable combo drive. The power connector on both machines are the same, meaning if you have a charger for an iBook G3, specifically the Snow, it will work on the iBook G4 and vice versa. Both iBooks actually have a pretty decent range of Mac OSs they can run. The iBook G3 has a minimum operating system of Mac OS 9.1, and later versions being 9.2.2, and the highest it can go is 10.4.11, or Mac OS X Tiger. On the iBook G4, on the other hand, earlier versions came with Mac OS X 10.3 as a minimum, with later coming as 10.4 as a minimum, with the maximum operating system being Leopard, or 10.5. So this means the iBook G3 gets about 6 years worth of operating system support, meanwhile the iBook G4 only gets a mere 4 years. However, there is an alternative option. There is the option to install Linux on the iBook G4, as well as an operating system called MorphOS, which is basically Amiga OS that runs on iBooks and other PowerPC machines. The iBook G3 contains a pretty conventional laptop-style keyboard. The trackpad as well is a pretty conventional trackpad for the era. Though, really, there's not too much a difference between this and the iBook G4's keyboard and mouse. The only major difference is that the keyboard on the iBook G3 is translucent and not opaque like the iBook G4. So for this, these are pretty much the same. The only difference is looks. Honestly, both iBooks are pretty good in their own respect. Both iBooks have pretty much become good laptops among Apple collectors and even computer collectors in general. I preferably use both my iBook G3 and my G4. I really like both of these machines, and I think people should give them a shot. Though one thing is be wary. On the iBook G4, if the airport card doesn't work, there is a chance the machine will not boot. This was the case with mine, and removing the card is difficult. And that's another thing. On both machines, doing maintenance like upgrading the hard drive or replacing the wireless card, albeit the latter only applies to the G4, is fairly complicated and requires a lot of disassembly. So, in honor of both machines, I think they're both incredibly good, and I highly recommend, if people haven't already, to try to find and locate either an iBook G3 or a G4. But make sure that it comes with a charger, a working charger, Mac OS, and a working hard drive. Because, boy, Replacing the hard drive is the worst. And with that, that's it.